It's getting ready. Okay, so today is Wednesday. This is Helen Mitchell from the Refresh Experience. And guess who I'm here with? I'm here with Dr. K. I love to call her Dr. K because I don't really know how to pronounce properly her entire name, which she's going to do for me during this conversation. So welcome, Dr. K. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fantastic. Thanks for
Oh,
having me on today. I'm excited.
thank you. So tell us your full name.
Yeah, so my full name is Dr. Katherine Igah-Phillips,
Oh, that's easy. Katherine
but Dr. K,
Igah-Phillips.
like just the letter K is fine. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome,
yeah.
welcome, welcome. We're glad
It's
you're
a lot.
here.
It's a lot. Thank you.
So you will be joining us at the Refresh Virtual Retreat, September 25 through 27. And you are a part of the collective of practitioners as well as speakers and authors who will be with us for our pivot to the virtual land. So we just appreciate that. And tell the community, Refresh community, and those listening what you'll be sharing with us on that beautiful Saturday when you're speaking to us.
Absolutely. So I have some for the Refresh community to share with them. And I'll be talking about basically the circle of stuff, turn of the. So I will be talking about how to navigate all of the circumstances that we've been experiencing in 2020, utilizing a powerful tool of holistic wellness and holistic balance. So basically, balance and wellness of the mind, of the body, of the spirits, of the emotions, just bringing everything together to equip you to powerfully either respond to or prepare for what has come or what is to come within 2020.
And so that's a very important tool to be able to have as we get through the rest of this
Yeah.
pandemic. And so, what would you say is the most important tool in terms of navigating these really unprecedented times?
Yes, I if I had to pick one, I would say I would have to say self-care.
Self care.
And yeah, and a lot of people are just kind of scrambling, what can I do? Where can I position myself? How can I have a voice? Especially with a lot of like the marching and people in the streets doing things and the protesting, and then you have on the COVID and how to help, but really having people know and understand that it all starts with you and it all starts within. And equipping people with the true definition of self care, not so much what our society has coined as self care and what social media has brought self care and what many people perceive to be self care, but really teaching at the Refresh experience what authentic self care looks like and become so elevated within it that you are, in real time dealing, yes, with the circumstances ahead of you, but also expanding your consciousness and just elevating yourself overall. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. You're able to, in real time, navigate through life, but you're also pivoting to expand your awareness and to flow through life a little bit more easily.
I like that. I like that. We have we what we call self-care Sunday. And so every Sunday we ask the Refresh community to really focus on your self-care and whether or not you're really taking care of yourself. Because as you said, you can't be there for others if you don't have yourself um
Yeah,
well, well.
yeah.
So tell me about your medical background and then the practice that you have, which I've always been fascinated by. So let's talk about your wellness practice and how you integrate that with your medical background.
Yes, so I am a medical doctor, so I am an MD. I went through conventional education training, and because of my cultural background, being of Nigeria, I was exposed to a lot of natural healing things like herbs, creams, teas, food, lifestyle. And at the time, I didn't consider it medicinal. Now these things are being coined as holistic healing or holistic medicine or natural healing. And I was able to have that exposure early so that when I decided I wanted to be a healer, I didn't just accept everything that was fed to me. So I got all the conventional stuff and I was just like, what about this stuff? And I was kind of told that's not real. Real medicine, even though it had literally worked for me my entire life. So that just piqued my curiosity. And once I finished on the conventional side, I made it a point to equal the same amount of training and education conventionally with natural medicine. So now I have the two worlds like in the palms of my hands, and I'm able to do this dance between conventional and natural medicine, kind of pulling from the best of both worlds, case by case, to give each individual a very glorified healing experience where nothing is falling through the cracks. So a lot of people aren't really satisfied with the care they're receiving in a 100% conventional model. So some people want that gap bridged, and that's where I come in. So my practice is called Mind Body Spirit Wellness Center. That I provide a space where people can come get an enhanced healing experience because you not only get the conventional side, but I also offer natural healing options. And then I do all of that under the umbrella of balancing the mind, the body, and the spirit, and everything that's involved underneath those three umbrellas at all times.
Mm.
So people come in for like migraines and we're talking about spiritual wellness. People are like, but what does that have to do with the headache? By the time I peel back the onion layer, I teach during consultation as well, then it's exposed. Oh, wow, I never thought that my relationship to myself could be, fueling the cancer. Or I never thought that the resentment I'm harboring towards someone else could have sparked this chronic, condition, and on and on and on. And a lot of people's conversations with themselves and a lot of people's lack of alignment, lack of grounding, lack of faith, hope, obedience, these things, these principles are missing in conventional medicine alone. So I try to just enhance the healing experience
Mhm.
and give people exactly what they need. We're searching for this kind of healing. And now there's a actual place here in Atlanta that you can achieve this sort of more authentic type of healing.
And I think that's just fabulous because I think a lot of times, especially outside of those that really know what the refresh communities sort of pillars are, they're looking for a Dr. K because
Mhm.
they know that it is necessary for you to not just treat the physical body, but to
Yes.
also treat the emotion and to be able to tie all of that together so that you come out holistically well. Because,
Yeah.
we all are accustomed to you have a headache, you get a tablet, you get a
Yeah.
prescription, and it's sort of dull for the moment. And then, 6 months later, it's worse and it's still there. And so, not
Mhm.
everyone's situation is different, but I like what you said in that it's case by case. It's a
Yeah.
marrying and integration of both the best of both worlds in order to treat each person case by case. So that's it. I just love that. So aligned
Yeah.
with the refresh experience. So I'm really excited about you being a part of us finally and us making this happen. This is exciting. I wanted to ask one
Thank
other
you.
thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about um, getting people to understand that marriage and that integration, what do you find is the biggest inhibitor? People thinking, I'm not sure about it, Dr. K, or, they hear certain things or they don't hear certain things. How do you get adopters to the wellness process?
So what's interesting is that conversation is actually getting less and less for me.
That's great.
Um, so it's almost like I'm attracting people who are ready. So I think the biggest inhibitor is ignorance, perhaps. People don't even know that something like this is even possible, to even think about where to find it, to even ask the questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is confusion because there are narratives floating around within the medical community of what your healing journey should look like, when in reality, it is your healing journey.
Yeah.
So it is totally created, affirmed, customized by you. So really, we work for you. Like, I am serving you. So really, you should be at the head of your wellness journey, and you're enlisting a team or a staff that is helping you expedite your healing and see things that you cannot see. And the interesting thing is that we have been groomed to do it in reverse. It's kind of this, I don't know what's going on in my body. Let me find a doctor to tell me about me.
Right. Yeah. Give me the answer. Just give me the answer.
Right.
Just fix it. Just fix it. Let it be done. I wanted
Whatever.
to ask, go ahead.
Exactly. Here's everything. Fix it.
Um,
Oh no,
during this,
I was just saying. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
just fix it. During this time of COVID, are you seeing a number of patients with COVID?
I actually am. Yes. I um I'm seeing more people who are um interested in jumping ahead of COVID. So in the beginning, when no one really understood what was going on, just felt to the circumstance. And then it just turned into almost like this waiting game. Like, I'm just gonna sit here, and just wait and see what happens. See if the virus comes for me. And now people are waking up to the fact that you can take action and there are things you can do to actually prevent yourself from having to deal with it at all. Or if you do deal with it, it doesn't have to necessarily take your life. It doesn't have to land you in an ICU, being, you don't even necessarily have to miss a day of work. And people are interested in that aspect of it, because before it was like COVID death sentence. That's what people saw. And people
Yeah,
were
I
like,
mean,
am I
that's
going to
what you
die? And
kept
then the
seeing.
fear
The
factor
numbers
was
going, yeah.
induced. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And now there are people who are waking up to the fact that you don't have to die from this, and in fact, more people are dying from the regular flu, and almost 4 times as much people are dying from things like hunger, like starvation, than COVID. But COVID, the way it's being presented to us, it's like it's this thing that's wiping out the entire globe, and you have no say so in it, you have no empowerment within it. So the people who are waking up to the fact that I can eat things to boost my immune system, I can do therapies to boost my immune system, I can take things like supplements, herbs, I can drink things, you can be in the game of preventing yourself from getting sick at all, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu, whether it's seasonal allergies. And then as that awareness increased, so then the flow of people into my practice, because that is what I've been promoting since the beginning of time. So people were finally like, oh, that's what Dr. K has been talking about.
Yes, that's what
When
she's
can I
talking
get an
about.
appointment? Yeah, when's your next availability? And that has been the shift that I've been watching people do since January.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because I think we're looking for all various types of ways of reconnecting ourselves to what the
Mm-hmm.
source is. And whatever the
Yeah.
source might be for whatever it is that we're really looking for, that helps us to be able to be prepared for anything. And that's why I think that
Yeah.
in these challenging times, if you didn't have a foundation, if you didn't have tools, you were scrambling. You were really trying to,
Yeah.
as best you could, get reconnected to something that was going to help. So that's good to hear that, people are getting in front of and taking the steps
Yeah.
to really get their body in the best shape that they can get their body in, so that if they come into contact with it, it's not a death sentence, as you mentioned. So that's good to hear.
Mm.
That's inspiring.
Yeah. It is.
That's inspiring. That's inspiring. Now, I also wanted to talk about, the physical things that people might be witnessing, and how you see that being or looking, what that might look like when we're really through this, long-term pandemic, as far as mental illness is concerned, and just tapping into the consciousness and the wellness of your spirit. And I think often of children who are not understanding what COVID is, terrified that they can't go out, or ostracized because they're homeschooling and yet their friends are at school. Just the whole mental aspect of the emotional side of the long range effects of this pandemic. And that I think about that often. And I feel for the parents who have kids at home who you have to navigate those waters with, to keep them safe. You want to keep them safe and do the right thing, but by the same token, other people are making other choices. And so
Mhm.
just a
Mhm.
long range effect of our how important our social, consciousness and us being aware will have an impact and help that out. So just like we're getting in front of it in terms of immunity, what are some of the
Yeah.
things that we can, begin to emotionally equip ourselves with, so that we're still in the mental health game and we're ahead of the curve instead of behind
Mm.
it?
Mm. That's a very good question. I would say the first step would be acceptance.
Yeah, I just
Um,
said that
a
too.
lot of people have not accepted. Oh, really? We're always here.
I just said that word before you came on.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I think a lot of the problems we're seeing currently, especially in the mental wellness realm, is a lack of acceptance. A lot of people are still in denial. A lot of people are still resisting. They're still fighting against what's going on. They still want things to go back to normal, and just the acceptance of what is so is a very powerful thing to do, to just choose the circumstance that we are in now, everything that it is, everything that it is not. And now you can powerfully operate within it, as opposed to being in this fantasy world of denial where you're just kind of hindering everything, your thoughts, your actions, the results you're getting, because you're thinking, well, this is going to go back tomorrow, or I'm not accepting what's going on. So I think
Right.
the first step is to just accept that we are in a new phase of existence. This is a new normal for us. Um, Life is changing before our eyes,
Mhm.
and it's always
Mhm.
difficult when you are at the source of the change, like when you are riding the tide in the midst of the change. It's
Yes.
always better if you were there before or if you popped up after.
Yeah.
um, so, like, for my generation, I use the analogy of like the internet. So, the generations before us, they were just like, we know how to live without that. And like people like my daughter and a little bit older than her, she's 3, and a little bit older than that, they're just kind of like, don't know what life is like without it, without the
Right.
internet, without social media.
Never had it, right?
Never, yeah, never,
Never had to
like
do without it.
never, yeah, it's like, just phew, don't know what life is like. Like, you guys existed without talking on social media. So, for me, I'm a millennial, and we went through the pivot. That was extremely interesting, to be a part of the no computers, there's computers. Okay, computers, World Wide Web, and there was a lot of resistance there that had a lot of people get left behind, and a lot of jobs lost, a lot of sanity lost, and that's how I feel, about this situation now. 2020 for me is like the year of, this is like the time of Aquarius. Like it's like the unveiling,
Yes.
right? There's a new truth that's being revealed to us, and you're either with it or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So the first step is accepting it so that you can now make a decision to be with it or to stay. And now that was a choice that you made. And it wasn't like you were bullied into it or lied to you. Made the choice, and now you can create and step into this new normal and make it look however you want it to look. And you're not a victim at this point, which is very important when it comes to just basic reality. So that is the most important thing I can say. The second thing would be communicate. Be open. About what's going on, about what you're going through, about how you're feeling about it. I always tell parents, be truthful with your children. I've overheard a lot of parents telling these like almost like Santa
Fictional
Claus
stories.
type tales, yeah, about what's happening and the virus. And I'm like, so my daughter is 3, and I just told her frankly. When she asked me why am I not going to school, I told her. So now she can explain it to you on a 3-year-old level that, there's a virus outside. It's called the coronavirus. It's really contagious if you sneeze, like she understands. So now there's not this thing where people are collapsing fictitious stories, their own imagination, and making things mean something that it's not. So that it then fosters a problem to have to deal with later, right? And
Yeah.
something they tell themselves about themselves, or they tell themselves about you, the parents, or they tell themselves about the world. That's not true. And then that's the seat of some sort of deficiency mentally later.
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
just being very open, yeah, and just communicate. Like this is not as big, scary monster type of thing as we are creating that narrative. So you can just
Exactly.
be very frank,
Exactly.
be very,
Exactly.
yeah, be very frank. This is what's happening. This is how we're protecting ourselves. And just not for children, but for us as adults to each other, you know,
Exactly.
talk to your friends, talk to your spouse, talk to your therapist. Like if you're having a hard time, be open and speak so that you can get the help that you need, because it's really not so much the pandemic that is causing the influx, within the mental unrest. It's more of people's response to it that's causing
Exactly.
the mental unrest.
And
And
so
that's
what's
something that can be dealt
beautiful
with.
is in Refresh, we say the same thing. It's what we think
Mm,
about the issue is
yeah.
the issue. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Because the issue may be present, that it's present. It's what we think about the issue that is the
Hmm.
issue. And so therefore, no matter what the issue is, if we're telling ourselves all sorts of things, we
Hmm.
certainly can't be balanced on the issue. It doesn't take the issue away. It doesn't make it evaporate, but how we are spending our present moments and what we're telling ourselves about the issue becomes the bigger issue. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it ties in um, beautifully to anything in life. It's
Yeah.
really what we believe about the issue
Yeah.
that is the issue. Yeah, this has been really helpful.
Oh
It
yeah.
reminds me to not be so spooked by this thing we call COVID-19. And last but not
Yeah.
least, when you come to Refresh at the end of the month and you share with us, what's the one thing, and I know you mentioned self-care, what is the sort of go-to, like your mantra that you would like to be certain that everyone who is, listening to your voice goes off that call or goes away from this retreat thinking or knowing? What's the one thing that you want them to take away?
Mm. I would say, um, that going back to the self care, like truly serving yourself and
That's
honoring
beautiful.
yourself as you show up as your best version of yourself, to not only be able to serve others, but to deal with them at you, what no matter what's going on. Because I posted to my social media page a few days ago, a lot of people tend to undervalue who they are and overvalue who they are not. So, really being true to that powerful, spiritual, authentic being and truth that you are, taking care of that, letting go of the bags and the boxes our society tries to put us into, tells us what we need to do, and just expand towards elevating humanity. That's what I would hope that people were left with or
I
would be
love
left
that.
with.
I love that. And I'm going to keep that in my mind of elevating humanity, because when we can do that at any level, everyone benefits. And
Hmm.
so it's talks
Oh
like
yeah,
this.
we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. And it's going to
Hmm.
be other talks like yours
Hmm.
as well, and just a compilation of various thought leaders talking about the kinds of information that we'll need in this challenging time. And the one thing I'm going to say is that this information isn't just about this time and what's going on in this moment. This, I believe, are the skills, the tools, the
Yeah,
knowledge, the education, the conscious raisingness that's going to happen that will take you beyond this. This is lifetime work. This is how
yeah,
you gain the skills to be able to live for a lifetime. So while we always sort of put it into the framework of what's going on now, if you had these tools before and you had your foundation, you probably are pretty much sustaining yourself. You know much of what we're talking about. And
hmm,
if you're not, and you need that support and bolstering, I feel like this retreat is going to do that for you. But I think it's taking you beyond what we're experiencing the pandemic. It's lifelong learning. It's
yeah,
to me the connection to your living a long and healthy best self that you can be. So I'm excited about it, and looking forward to having you as a part of the Refresh community, and hope you'll join us from the minute one,
yeah.
which starts out with yoga in the park, all the way through the sacred
Yes.
ceremony on Sunday, where we'll have a beautiful harpist play and incredible music to take us through the Sunday sacred ceremony. So thank you for your time
Mhm.
today. I appreciate it. Again, this is
Of
Dr.
course.
K, who
You're
will be
welcome.
visiting us at the retreat at the end of the month. So thank you for your time. And if you need some further information, please contact the website, and you'll get more information about Dr. K and what she's going to be sharing, as well as how to contact her and registration for the retreat. Thank you so much. This is Helen Mitchell from the Refresh Experience,
Yeah.
and Dr. K. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Have a good time.
You're welcome. Thank
Okay. Enjoy
you.
the rest of your
Bye.
day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.